Hey YouTube, what you know good? He is the Reverend, and we're back with some more of that fresh art goodness. So, what are we working on today? Well, today it's illustration 23 for day 23 of OC-tober 2020, where I did 31 illustrations in 31 days of original characters made by me, friends, comrades, and fellow artists. This one is from a comrade and fellow artist that I met, funnily enough, in the comment section of a pro wrestling podcast. No joke. He goes by the name Michael Mortimer, but better known as Dark Mortimer. At least that's where I first heard of him, and that is his Twitter. Speaking of which, bam! A quick little plug for him. Link will be in the description, and where you can support him and his webcomic, which has been going on since around 2018. Man, the guy's a trooper. He does a new page every week. It's called Disfunctional Friends. Basically, the cast includes just a cavalcade of people and creatures that most people might consider strange and unusual. One of which being this character that I'm drawing right now, a young witch named Clair Violetwood, who doesn't really reside in an apartment like some of these other characters or inside the cafe. She actually has some residence somewhere in a dark forest, a forest just teeming with just strange happenings and entities residing that most people would probably lose their mind over, to the point where she's so used to the stuff that happens in the dark forest that whenever something bizarre happens around everybody else and they're freaking out, she just kind of sips from her tea, unamused, and being just like, meh. Nothing really phases Claire, with the exception of the occasional jump scare from Dahlia, the Lady in Black, who occasionally will pop up behind you, usually if you mention her name. No, I didn't just look back behind me right now just to be on the safe side. Speaking of Dahlia, I actually drew her way back in a previous Inktober. But I digress. The reason why Claire is actually working with the rest of the cast in this cafe is, funnily enough, because she actually saves the cafe from a bank robbery. Being which she has access to very bizarre powers that we don't necessarily always see, but there's some telekinesis in there. She clearly has the ability to summon bats. That's how she actually saved the cafe from a robbery. You also see that she's good at puppetry. As you can notice, as I'm drawing her with one of the puppets every now and again, just an episode of or issue or chapter, depending on how you want to see it for this webcomic, would feature just characters just kind of floating there and having a conversation, and then we pan out and we see that that was just Claire doing a little puppet show. You don't see stuff like that anymore. Reminds me of another magic using puppeteer. Reminds me of, but she looks completely different and is from a completely different series altogether. But I should totally draw a crossover. Ooh, putting ideas in my head. Let me stop. But when she's not doing puppeteering, when she's not gaming with the other cast, she is also capable of inventing some very interesting, let's just say some really interesting weapons. Like, she actually has a gigantic, like a giant a mech suit, like a royalty-free Gundam, shaped like her. And you know she's got some powerful magic because she makes it right. There's this one. I mean, it's gonna make sense if you read the comic, but there's this one time where she pretty much summons it like the Dragon Zord from Power Rangers, rising up out of a body of water, and there's apparently no water damage because this gigantic mech that she made was entirely made of wood. That's how you know she's magic, because that doesn't make sense. Ah, man. I mean, she as well as all this cast, they go through some weird stuff, get in trouble, find a way to get out of it with little to no real cost of themselves. Very unorthodox. Kind of reminds me of just the weirdness that you would see in, say, it's like a higher rated version of the Munsters of the Addams Family. There's dark undertones things happening here, with a little hint of maybe South Park. Like, for example, the government makes a really stupid decision for a particular holiday, and suddenly the world starts crumbling apart. Speaking of celebration, one thing that I personally find almost endearing when it comes to Clair is that she, much like her creator Dark Mortimer, and this guy right here doing this fan art, are fans of pro wrestling. She's a fan of pro wrestling, and she is a really big, super big fan of Kanako Urai, aka Kana, aka her current WWE incarnation, Asuka, or as I like to call her, Empress Asuka, just to separate her from people like Lioness Asuka. Anyway, I digress. She is such a big fan of Asuka that if it's one thing that really pisses her off is when she does not get to win a big pay-per-view match. In fact, there's been a kind of like a negative running gag about certain people not ever winning at WrestleMania, and for a while, Asuka seemed to be that part of that unfortunate trend. She would have an undefeated streak for the longest time, and then WrestleMania comes in, oh, you lose. How about next year? Nope, lose again. Needless to say, you don't want someone like Clair Violetwood to be disappointed over a big pay-per-view match. She may be a powerful witch, but she's still young, and when you're a kid, you can let your anger kind of explode. And with access to magic, not exactly a good time. No, man, I can go on for a while about how because Claire's just one character out of several that are very entertaining. There's even a polar bear that is capable of riding a bike well enough to actually participate in Tour de France. I mean, in case you couldn't tell, I think Dark Mortimer's got a good idea on his hands, and he's been doing this for years. This comic, you can just binge through a lot of this stuff. Like, it's good. You can spend a good 30 minutes just reading this and completely losing track of time. I would, as you can probably guess, I actually recommend checking it out. It's pretty good. It's pretty funny, and he holds no punches. You know, there's gonna be some jokes out there. It's just like, whoop, yeah, that just happened. But yeah, you'll if you have a if you like just blatant humor with a little bit of dark undertones here and there, yeah, you'll definitely enjoy this. But with that said, let me go ahead and just wrap this up for today. If you like what I do, consider subscribing. And if you want to support this little project, remember I do commissions and have a Patreon. So till next time, take it easy, memento mori, and I will catch you all in the next one. Kill the feed.